iPads are useful for their purpose, but they are no substitute for brain.
All right, here we go.
I have to say, well done, Ray. Well done. Well played, my adversary. Well played.
Phoenix isn't gay, but if he was, he'd pick Fremont.
Oh yeah, he'd be living down there with you in the bunker, man. Woo!
Once you go free, you always do the Z.
Like one day I'm not going to Duncan and you could get a controller, a new Xbox, possibly even a cord.
And now the group that can't count its nuts and come up with the same number twice.
Welcome to BGFG, episode 382. I'm your host, Chris Phoenix, and joining me, as always, my brother from another mother, my man that counts his own nuts and come up with more numbers than you should, Mr. Fremozy. How are you doing, sir?
I've had a bumper crop on acorns this year. It's hard to keep track.
There is something seriously wrong with you.
What? You can eat acorns, dude.
Yeah, okay. So how's your week been?
I mean, they're not the most efficient nut to crack and eat, but you got to take them out of their little hard shell, and you got to leach the tannins out of them. But after that, I mean, you can make acorn oil, acorn flour, toasted acorns.
I'm not going to do any of that. I'm basically going to go to Etsy, most likely.
Yeah. Well, one day when the internet ain't working because the power grids failed and
Don't
the
you
grocery
dare
stores
say
ain't
that.
got nothing on the shelf, I'm
You
still
shut
gonna
your
be
mouth. You shut your mouth.
on the hog.
That is true. We've talked about that before. If the power grid was to go out and something was to happen in this country, I need to get in the truck with my family and head down to Tennessee because I'm not gonna make it. I am too technically connected.
I got all the edibles on the property that will sustain you now.
Right.
You may not like it, but you ain't gonna go hungry.
That's true. Do you still go hunting right before winter for venison?
Disclaimer: I don't have a hunting license, so no, I don't hunt.
Do you still buy?
I do
venison?
happen to target shoot, and sometimes things get in the way.
I could just see you with somebody in the woods and go put up the sign over there. Oh, I missed the target, but I got a deer.
Oh man. Did you see that? That would have been a bullseye. That 8-pointer just ran right in front. Dadgummit.
But that is smart. You told me about that years ago, probably a decade ago, and I was like, holy shit, that's really smart. Where you have all that meat for the winter. You know, that's a great idea. I wish we could do that up here.
We just bought a little deep freeze to have some extra storage space.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this is the first. No, this is the first episode with you in the new studio because I did one last week.
That is correct, sir.
You were indisposed at the time, and I have to say,
and oddly enough, one of the stories you covered, I was directly
correct
involved with.
Yeah, the hacking or the compromise of the ransomware at a hospital, a group of hospitals. Yeah. You just happen to be at one. And so how's that experience?
Whew, let me tell you, they have no clue how to handle paperwork anymore.
Oh no, without electronics, no.
The entire system was offline. Like they couldn't do anything, and they trying to pull records. You know, somebody had to run down to the basement and the scary file room where the lights are flickering, and took forever to get stuff done. It's like, y'all scheduled that CAT scan like an hour ago. Is that going to happen? Well, we're just waiting on them to come get her. I'm like, do they know to come get her?
It's not in the system anymore.
Because in the past, you click a little box, patient's ready for CAT scan, and the people on the other end get an alert and lets them know, come get them. Well, I'm pretty sure someone went down there to tell them, well, can we verify that, please?
You get a bunch of orderlies and security guards that just became runners. where
Oh
they were
yeah,
running all around the
yeah,
store
yeah.
building.
It was crazy. It was crazy. But anyway,
All right,
that
let's
was
get to it.
last week. That's so last week, man.
We got a big show this week. A lot of stuff. We dropped the last segment for what it's worth. I'm going to try to switch things up because there's a lot more tech news. We like to cover news on the show, but carefully, which you'll see in the first story. But there's a lot of tech news.
We're gonna piss some people off with the first one. There's no way around it. Just the mention of the topic, and people are gonna go crazy, regardless of anything else we
And that's
say.
too bad.
So.
That's too bad because if you listen to the show, then that's definitely not something. Let's get into it.
BGFG News. You heard it here third.
So we're going to take out of the bad news first and get ourselves in trouble really quick. The Supreme Court.
Let me read it.
Okay, good.
You know I love hate mail.
I know. Good.
Supreme Court declines to take up issue of fetal personhood for now.
Yeah, and I think this
Primozy at 30ish or primozy30ish at gmail.com.
So the problem here is this, and this is, again, we've expressed a long time on this show that our political views are not yours. We don't try to make them that. We just report the news. We don't want to take sides or anything. I don't care what your decision is on the fetal process or the abortion issue. That's you. And Fremo and I don't want to take that away from you. That's your choice.
And some things we line up on. Other things we're on opposite ends.
Yep.
And yet we can still have civil discourse.
It's
and do
so
a podcast
strange.
Together.
So strange. It's
How
like
is
it's a
that
dream
possible?
world.
Yeah. Civility.
So what I take issue with in this story is not anything to do with abortion. Again, your choice is your choice. And I don't mean choice is what it is. I mean, whatever side you fall on, that's
your
decision.
philosophical viewpoint, your worldview on the topic is yours. If you'd like to have a discussion on it, we will happily do that offline with anyone that wants to.
So what they're saying is that their decision, they need to come up with something that considers a fetus a person entitled to constitutional rights. And there's a whole debate as to when that is acceptable or not.
Yes.
In 2019, ironically, Rhode Island lawmakers approved the legislation to protect the legality of abortion in Rhode Island. Again, that's this tiny little state that I live in. The tricky part of the law,
and that's that state's right.
Right. The tricky part of that law is basically saying that the fetus's rights are if you have a fetus that can survive outside the room, then that fetus has rights. That's what the law states in this state right now. And frankly, the wording, I think, was designed in Rhode Island purposefully to create different points of view and interpretation of it. We're not, look, BGFG, Phoenix Media Group, me and Fremo, we're not bringing the abortion discussion to this show. We're not. Yeah. That's your discussion.
Like I said, if you want to have that offline, I'll talk with anybody about anything. But we're not We're not here to push political ideas or agendas or anything.
Correct. Absolutely not. My problem is that the discussion that the Supreme Court is the Supreme Court is voted on and elected and has a prestige to make these hard decisions. That's their job. That's why we put them in place, and not take vacations while the rest of the world, while the rest of the country and each individual state make their own decisions and laws. Like Texas, for example. We're not taking a stand on the show. We're pointing out the fact that the Supreme Court has basically said, yeah, you know what, we're going to take a break and decide on this later.
Yeah.
That's not acceptable.
They made a monumental decision a couple months ago to reverse the decisions or the implications of Roe v. Wade.
Right.
And that was a huge thing. Agree with it, disagree, whatever. Just that moment in history was a big deal for the country. And now they have completely sidestepped their responsibility to clarify all that.
What we're saying is that this is the highest court in our country. These are the justices that make fucking decisions that can change people's lives.
Yeah.
You know, and again, this goes right back. And if you
maybe I need to send them a sack of my nuts since I had such a bumper crop vacancy this year, because they are nutless on this one.
Yeah, they are
I
completely
don't get
nutless.
it. I don't get it, man. I don't get how they can do what they did, make such a huge decision that they made a few months ago,
Right.
knowing that there's going to be all kinds of fallout, all kinds of clarifications that are going to be needed.
Yeah.
And this particular case that was brought to them is in direct alignment, correlation to the decision they made to reverse Roe versus Wade. How they can justify not taking this up and giving clarification as quickly as possible is beyond me.
Right. This is the
I don't
highest court in
get
the country. And you have to make that decision because we're looking at, and what we want to point out in the show is that people think the Civil War was about slavery. It wasn't just about slavery. It was about the state's individual rights. This is what Andrew
That was a
Jackson.
component of it. That was, slavery
Sure.
was one of the things, one of the main, certainly the biggest issue, but not the only issue, centered around the whole federal versus states' rights. It
Right, and
obviously
if
was the most momentous, the biggest life changing part of it, but it was not the issue.
No, it was more about the states. Can the states make individual decisions, or is it the federal government? And I don't mean to belittle the situation, but you can relate that to the marijuana laws. So technically, if a police officer pulls me over and I have a bottle that I just got from the dispensary, and say I don't have my license on me, then technically I could get arrested. Now, is it legal? Yes, it's legal. Recreational is legal, but it's only legal in the state. It's not legal federally. So
Yes.
technically, I'm breaking the law. And this is where the problem
You're breaking
comes
the
in.
federal law. Now,
I'm breaking the federal law,
and
not the state law.
here's the crux of the matter. In this instance, does the federal law supersede the state law?
Exactly.
And
Exactly right.
that's where our Constitution comes into play. The Constitution very clearly delineates what the federal government is in charge of.
Mhm.
Everything else is left to the individual states to govern and regulate the way that state wants to.
And this is
If
no
New York
different.
wants to make it, if New York wants to make a law that says weed's completely legal, it's like cigarettes, they can.
Mhm.
And I don't know what state possibly would want to, but insert a Sunbelt state here. Weed is bad. You're going to hell.
Utah.
You can't have it under any circumstance. Then in that state, it would be illegal.
Correct.
It's as simple as that. And
Right.
that goes for a whole host of issues.
And it's not
Including the Roe versus Wade one. That the way that it has been set up now is the federal government has said, "Hey, we're giving this back to the states, and y'all go figure it out." Although there's some things that need to be clarified, we're just not going to do it right now.
Yeah, and that's not
And
good, people.
I don't. They're leaving all 50 states in the lurch on this one, and it's not good because of how heated of a topic it is, just to begin with.
Right.
And
This is
two-
beyond weed. This is beyond, car
And then the
laws
second
or
thing
anything.
is the fact that this country is already in such a divisive state with
Oh,
itself.
yes. It is so.
That
It
just
is.
compounds this issue.
Right.
And to just leave everyone floundering on, this whole topic is just, it's irresponsible and, in my opinion, reprehensible.
I would agree. I don't feel that. I mean, look, Ginsburg passed away. I think if she was here, it would have been like, no, what do you mean vacation? You're not taking a fucking vacation.
I
Clarence
think,
Thomas
honestly,
is
if
still
she
there.
was
There's-
here, if she was still on the court, I don't know that Roe v. Wade would have been overturned in the
Right.
time frame that it was. I think it was going to happen. I just don't think it would have happened yet. But I mean, that's neither here nor there because she's not around anymore. But
Right. And there's a lot of other issues. But you know what? That's the bad news. Let's get to some good news. By 2030, we might actually have a cancer vaccine. And I thought this was really cool when I read it. Marie and Pierre Curie, the husband and wife team behind one of the most successful Pfizer COVID vaccines, they've, oh shit, what the hell's their name? I thought I wrote it down. I didn't write it down. Do you have it in
Talking
there?
about the company BioNTech,
No,
or
the
are you
two
talking about
people.
the actual people?
Yeah, the two people, the husband and wife team. Oh crap! Look
Hold
at our
on,
show
I got it.
notes.
It's oh, I just scrolled past it. 1 second.
I'm so
Ugur
so-
Sahin and Aslim Turechi.
right.
And I'm
These
sure I butchered the pronunciation of all 4 of those names.
absolutely, because I would have too. I probably would have done it worse. They're the husband and wife team that's behind one of the most successful COVID vaccines from Pfizer, and they've now turned their attention onto RNA research for cancer.
Yeah,
Great.
they're using the techniques they used to get the Pfizer COVID vaccine. They're now using that same technique of RNA is essentially it's akin of DNA, if you will.
Right.
DNA basically tells each cell what it's going to be when it's forming, and RNA, for lack of a better term, is how that cell is going to function going forward.
Right. And the technology is, like Freeman was saying, the technology is on a cellular level. And when these two were speaking to the BBC, they said that using mRNA as a vaccine can distinguish cancer cells from regular cells. That's huge. Cancer's been a plague for the world. My God, what, for 50, 60, probably longer years? I mean, it wasn't.
Well, I would say ever since Adam and Eve were kicked out of the garden, but
it's quite possible. The amount of probable uses, and this is the thing that bothers me, is that mRNA research and the amount of probable uses is under suspicion from so many doctors and considered voodoo before COVID, kind of like stem cell research. You know, you have professional wrestlers that are going to other countries to get stem cell injections and stuff. I know wrestlers that have had knee or shoulder problems for a lifetime get some of these injections, stem cell injections, and they're better. You know, it helps. So some of these doctors and stuff, and Fremont and I could sit there and go on a huge rant on the conspiracy of big pharma, you know, and why medicines are the way they are and healthcare is the way it is. It's the same thing as to why electric vehicles aren't taking off, because fossil fuel conglomerates are not happy with that situation at all. So there's a lot of these things out there. The husband and wife have both stated that they're reluctant to say we have a cure for cancer because they're good scientists.
right, right, and it's
And
not proven yet, but the concept, the theory is there. And the practice of it, the whole COVID vaccine was a good first step. But essentially, what they're saying is that they can program your white blood cells, your immune system,
right,
with the information that says this is bad, attack it. And what that means is they can go in and find if you have a particular type of cancer, say, I think one of the ones referenced was melanoma, which is actually the biggest killer out there, because once you get it, you can't get rid of it. You can manage it, but you'll never get rid of it.
Right.
But it basically goes in and it gives the white blood cells. They go in, they pull the cancer cell, they form a blueprint of what is a unique identifier for that type of cancer within your body, not just that cancer in general, but that cancer in your body. They
how it
find
affects
the
you
unique
directly.
Identifier. Yeah. You know, and basically, it provides your white blood cells of a photo ID of what that cancer looks like and says, when you see this, kill it.
And there's a lot of side stuff that happens too, believe it or not. There's, you know, this is where it's kind of like similar scientifically when they cross or reverse engineer stuff, like, I don't know, UFOs. When they cross engineer stuff, when they reverse engineer, you know, I'm going to get it in there. When they reverse engineer stuff, they find other uses for things. By this couple doing all of this research, they're finding breakthroughs on other things. So somebody like my wife's lupus could be cured accidentally from this. because they're
Yes,
looking
could
at
be-
different ways
absolutely
and
could
different
be
things.
a byproduct of it. Yep.
You know, the common cold. We've heard that for ages. The common cold to be rectified in your lifetime. Well, is it though? Because then
Yeah.
Vicks is going to go out of business.
But I still think they're a pretty good time frame. 2030 to me seems a little aggressive.
Oh well,
Of course,
I think
I'm not involved, and I'm
Sure.
not as smart as these people are. Obviously,
there's going
but
to be trials. There's going to be
at
all
some
sorts
point,
of things.
I imagine. What was that? What was that movie? Elysium,
Yep.
where you lay down in this tech machine and it does a scan of you and reads you, and then sends in the nanobots to fix whatever ails you.
Oh God, I can't wait.
I mean, we're a long way away from that, but what I'm reading.
But are we
here
though?
about
Free?
this
Are we
being-
though?
I mean, farther away.
They're
than-
using nanobots now.
I know, but still, the ability to just scan someone and then immediately give them the fix. I think that's what I'm saying. We're a long way from that, but obviously we're getting there, because with this technology, they're taking information out of your body and customizing a solution.
Correct. So I
And
think
I think the thing that's going to keep this from getting to that level as quickly as they're saying is the fact that we don't have an efficient means right now to pull that information out, generate the fix quickly, and then give it to you. Because you
Right.
still have to code the mRNA information tailored to that person. Now, obviously, with how fast our technology is growing, who knows? I mean, a breakthrough could happen. You could get some disgruntled people from the metaverse that are really good at coding teaming up with these guys, and this could take off. But
I agree and I disagree. So I think we're going to see some benefits between 10 to 15 years from now. That's what I think. Because what we're doing now, when you go to the doctor now, you get blood work. A couple weeks later, they tell you, okay, here's what you have. Here's what we found. Here's your pill prescription that's going to fix that.
Actually, they had a health fair at work not too long ago, and within 15 minutes, they took a little pinprick of blood, stuck it in a little whirly machine, and within 15 minutes, I had my HDL, LDL, triglycerides, blood sugar, all that delineated for me right there. And it wasn't even 15 minutes.
Now add to what Fremont and I just said.
Something that Netflix made a show about.
There's a lot of stuff like that going around.
Somebody has straight up hijacked Theranos's.
You combine that with the stem cell research. You combine that with the fact that you can spit on a card, send it in, and get your DNA results back of what you're highly allergic to, not. And also combine that with the fact that nanobots have been proven. They have been used in different circumstances, but nanobots have been tested, not approved, but they've been tested and proven science-wise. So as Fremo was saying, to go on as to what Fremo was saying, it's not out of the realm of possibility to program a nanobot when they become easily available and have become foolproof, for lack of a better term, that they can be injected into your body while you're at the doctor's office, sit there for half an hour in a chair, listen to some music, and your cyst on your back is now taken care of. And then when it's done, maybe 24 hours, they program the bots to die and leave in your feces or your urine. It's not out of the realm of possibility. It's not, and I think that's really, really, really exciting on another level. I would love to.
That's why I'm trying to get as healthy as I can, because I want to be around for that. I want to see that happen.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you.
Because if I can stick around that long, then maybe they can keep me going another 100, 200 years.
My kids gave me a come to Jesus meeting on my birthday about how they want me to be around and get healthier and stuff and shed pounds and stuff. And they're right. So I got to do that. And now that I have the room and the space down here in the studio, I have the ability to do that. So let's move on to other things, because that'll just get us in a rat hole, no doubt. So no crypto news this week. Surprise, surprise. But there is some things we need to burst your bubble about. And I'm bringing this up this week because I had to deal with it so much at work this week. Let me just explain to you right now, explain to the sheeple that VPNs aren't as good as your buddy says they are. And I cannot stress this to you people enough. I cannot.
Especially if you're on an iOS.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, that's true, though. So there's a huge misconception that you can go anywhere and do whatever you want as long as you use incognito mode and or a VPN on your computer. That is completely wrong, 100% wrong.
Yeah.
It's so everything you do is tracked and logged by your ISP. I don't give a shit what you think. I've worked there. There's nothing hiding it. Period. Incognito mode stops your significant other from jumping on your computer and seeing where the last websites you've been at. You know, when you go to OnlyFans and shit, that stops that. But your ISP knows it. If you're doing it on your phone, you're damn sure that your telephone company knows it.
Yeah.
It's always checked.
And
that's it.
The VPN, even when it's working 100% correctly the way it's supposed to, is still being logged and tracked. Now, it may take them longer to decipher the information, but if they want to decipher it, they can decipher it. Period.
Yeah, if you're a pedophile, your ISP still knows you're a pedophile. It's just going to take them a little time, and they need to find out it's you, and then start the process. It's not wide open, but as soon as somebody knows that you're doing something. By the way, if you're a pedophile, just stop listening to the show forever. We don't want anything to do with you. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Yeah, we don't want anything to do with your bullshit. But a VPN only allows a secure connection from point A to point B. It's encrypted, but like Freebo said, it's not out of the realm of possibility to have it decrypted. It's not. This is not military secrets. It's just a secure tunnel. It's going to stop the average hacker from looking at it. But somebody that wants to get in, somebody federally that wants to get in, hell yeah, they're going to be able to crack this thing. It might take them a little time, but they're going to crack it.
Yeah, and it's going to keep Netflix from being able to stop you from seeing a show that you're not supposed to see in the U.S. for whatever reason. Yeah, you can get around things like that, but it's not keeping you off the radar. You're not hidden from the people that want to or can actually see you.
And here's a big plus for you: VPNs leak data. Yeah, they absolutely do, and nobody does this worse than Apple. And I'm an Apple fanboy, Freemo will tell you, but this is some bullshit. Usually when you turn on a VPN, your phone, it should shut down all the internet connections and reestablish them through the tunnel, which is what it's supposed to do. And as far as they can tell, it's just information to Apple services, but it's still a leak outside of the VPN. Again, Apple does this. It's a leak to Apple services. It's still a fucking leak. As much as I like Apple and I say that their phones are secure, which they are, if you're trying to do something, shitty, plain and simply shitty by doing a VPN, outside of the Netflix stuff, a lot of people use VPNs. I get it all day at work. And it's like, I look at them and I'm like, dude, seriously? You're obviously doing something shady. Because I'll be like, oh, you use Netflix? No, I don't. Okay, then what the fuck do you need a VPN for? Where are you going on the internet that you need a VPN? Because I can tell you,
be shielded.
Yeah, and Freemo and I can tell you that the places that you're going to aren't really good places to begin with. Your VPN isn't going to stop much. It's going to get you there securely and encrypted, but once you get there, you're fucked. You're going to get stuff sent to through the tunnel onto your computer and shit. It's just bullshit. And even if on an iPhone, if you turn on lockdown mode, it does nothing to change the leaks that are happening because Apple is still requiring that information because Apple built the VPN system that's in your phone or your device. It's going to allow Apple's certain protocols through, which, again, plain and simply, good, bad, or indifferent, is a hole that can be exploited. And that's where the problem is. And of course, free. Apple doesn't disclose any of this stuff. It's been happening for years, but Apple doesn't disclose anything. You know who is disclosing shit, though? Employees of Facebook. They're disclosing a whole bunch of shit. Oh, sorry. My bad.
Quit being a boomer. Get with it. It's Meta.
So people that work at Meta/Facebook are saying that Metaverse is a sad and lonely place. A year ago, Zuckerberg changed the name to Meta Platforms. This is great. I loved digging through the story because it made me smile so much.
Oh,
And one day, I've said it 100 times, but one day I have an entire file folder set up with Facebook stories. And I went in there the other day, and I'd say about 60 to 70% of them are now dead links, which even makes it funnier. But the headlines are still there, and I can still read them, which is fucking priceless. But a year ago, Zuckerberg changed the name of Facebook and all of its media sources to Meta Platforms, which is great. Then they bought Oculus Quest. Not so great. Everyone's like, why the f do you need a VR company? Like, Oculus is fine. It's going to grow the way it should. It's going to be a new VR. It's going to be wonderful. But he decided to buy it and change that name to MetaQuest. So instead of having a Oculus Quest, you have a MetaQuest.
Yeah.
And then they
you
formed...
can't use the Oculus outside of being on Facebook or
that pisses
part
me
of
off.
Meta.
Yeah, I looked right at my son, and he wanted one. He's like, I got to make a Facebook account. I'm like, seriously? Like, I didn't even know it. And they're like, yeah, you got to make a Facebook account for it. I'm like, that's bullshit right there. That's 100% bullshit. So then he formed this company called Reality Labs to work on all things for the metaverse. This is not working out for Zuck in any way at all. Going from a net worth of 125 billion to 45 billion. Yeah, it's still $45 billion, so that's nothing to sneeze at. But you did lose more than half of your net worth
lost
in doing
two-thirds
this.
of his net worth over this whole thing.
Right. And Reality Labs.
Better. And the latest push that he's trying to do, because Meta didn't take off your average Facebook user. No surprise there. But so he's pushing for VR for business.
I don't know why. I don't know why he's bothering.
And even the people in Meta who are doing, like, working through the VR for using his vision of VR for business purposes, say it sucks. They hate it. They don't want to use it.
It's riddled with bugs. They're saying internal documents are saying it's riddled with bugs. And Reality Labs itself lost $10 billion last year, and so far this year they lost $5.7 billion. So this is a fucking problem. And they're expecting about 500,000 people to visit the metaverse. The numbers don't lie. It's riddled with bugs, and most come back in or they check in. Like people like you and I, not you because you'll never do it, but people like you and I are the people that will go in, test it out so we can review it or talk about it, saying, oh yeah, we were in there and it's, you know, it's nice and it lags and whatever they want to do. But the facts are the facts. And the fact are that outside of the one-time people, the people that regularly use it, you know how many people regularly use their metaverse?
200,000.
50. They have 50 active, consistent users month to month. 50.
Yeah.
50. That is a
That's what I was going to say.
problem.
Like 90% of the people that try it after the first month don't come back.
Right. And the people that work for them are saying it's an empty world, and an empty world is a sad world, which I still love that quote. They're planning on making money from that, from the people that entered that universe too. That failed too. That's failed miserably. So these stats, I just completely grinned ear to ear when I read these. Yeah. So here's the stats.
We need to get all this info and print it, because you know it won't be out there long. They'll have it pulled.
No. So they offer in the metaverse, they have a tip feature. It's, you know, much. So for instance, like when you get a subscription on Twitch or you give us a donation or something, that's a donation money. On some of the platforms, they take percentages. Twitch does 70-30 if you're in the top tier. If not, it's usually 50-50, and they've just changed that as well. The tip feature in Metaverse has paid out under $500 globally.
Yeah.
That's right. I said $500, 500. Globally.
Their in-world revenue generation has created less than 10,000.
That's a fucking problem, people.
Don't look over here.
Yeah, so they spent billions of dollars and they've made $10,000 in a year.
Oh, it is so bad. Like I can't even imagine the people that Zuck got to invest in this shit. And let's just add a little bit more salt to the wound that the retention rates of the Metaverse headsets has dropped in 3 years to the point where they're just literally trying to push them out. But wait, it gets better. The meta characters, as you can see on the picture that we have in the show, the meta characters still don't have legs and feet at all. It's just these torsos and heads, and they look like something from an old Nintendo game. Yeah. So when they went to go announce all the stuff for the new Oculus, or I shouldn't say that, the MetaQuest, when they went to go announce all that bullshit, they actually had to remake Zuckerberg's picture, as you can see in the picture that I found of it. So it looks like a normal avatar, but even that looks shitty compared to today's standards. And employees just don't even want to use that at all. In fact, it got so bad that when they released the headset, right? So they released this new headset. Why? I have no idea. But the MetaQuest Pro VR headset is $1,500.
Yeah.
What the fuck, Zuck? He actually came out and said that if you were thinking of upgrading your PC instead, try getting this headset. Are you a complete douche canoe? Like, has all that money, that billions of dollars, just gone to your head?
The dude, I'm telling you, the dude is in his own universe, obviously, and he thinks it's wonderful. Apparently, mommy didn't hug him enough as a child or something. I don't know
Maybe
what it is, but
it was awful.
He lives in a fantasy world, and he thinks it's awesome, and that everybody else should join him there.
And he was the one that said
that's it.
Before the release of the new VR, the team had to go in and make him a new avatar so it looked halfway decent. And it still looks like something from an old Nintendo game. And let's put it like this. The VR headset is $1,500. Is it state of the art? No, but the launch trailer for it basically said we have better cushions. That's all it took away from that, was better cushions for your head, more comfortable, for longer use. It's not
I love the quote that he had. Apparently, he said, realistically, there are a bunch of people at the company who shouldn't be here.
Well, that's okay.
I could just hear him whining that too. And it was in reference to how crappy it is, apparently.
Let's put it like this for the people that are listening. The internal management, because of Zuck, internal management insists that you have meetings. It's bad enough we all have to sit through stupid-ass conference calls and meetings, but now they're forced to have meetings inside the Meta Horizon. And several employees took to social media, and it's funny, took to social media outside of Facebook to complain about it, and that they were forced to have these meetings in the metaverse. And the real kicker in this whole fucking thing that Zuck is doing is that not only do you have to be in these meetings virtually, but you have to pay for your own headset. They're not even giving you as an employee a headset to go to these meetings. I can tell you exactly. When I was talking to the story with somebody else, I said to him, I'm going to speak for Fremo right now. I guarantee you we feel the same way. If you told either one of us that we need to go to a meeting and we're required a headset, I'd be like, all right, where's the headset? Oh, you're going to buy one. No, that's not happening. I'm not buying a headset. Oh, it's a discount. I don't give a fuck if unless it's free and you're giving it to me, I'm not going to this meeting because I'm not buying a headset.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Hey, I'll go ahead and tell you right now, I'm not going to be at the meeting, and if that means I'm fired, let me know now so I can get the fuck out.
Yeah, before you guys even start the fucking meeting, because I am all squared away with that. I don't want to hear none of that shit. All right, that's it for this week's news. Let's get into this week's music, which is a great choice. It's Jack White, which is always good. Jack White, Taking Me Back. It's connected. Unfortunately, it's connected to Call of Duty, which isn't my favorite game in the world. But hey, you know what? It's a great song. It's Jack White. How can you get angry with that? And then on the other side, we're going to do just stick style news this week because there's a lot to get through, and there's a lot of stuff, good stuff. And we'll start with the bad news first. So let's get into Jack White taking a break. And we'll see you on the other side for Stick Style News. Oh, Jack White. Good stuff. It's very hard to find a bad song by Jack White.
I mean, not to take anything away from any other artist that's ever lived or whatnot, but he would be the penultimate musician.
Yeah.
Because he alluded to it in that video. I mean, you see him playing the keyboard, you see him playing the drums, you see him on the guitar, the vocals, and you know he's recording all of his own instruments, laying them down, building the tracks. I mean, the only time he needs other musicians is when he's on stage.
Yeah,
because he can't physically play all of them at the same time.
Look, I've seen some street musicians.
it would be interesting to see him lay down the drums and loop it, and
That'd be
then
cool.
go over to the keyboard on stage,
Yeah.
and build the song.
Yeah, like a street
You know?
musician.
And I think that would be a fun show, but
So
not for everyone.
I have finally jumped into the winter. I have my Modelo Negro. What a great beer.
Yes,
what a
it
great
is.
beer. That is tasty. Of course, I have my Jack Daniels with me just in case.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Take a look. All right, let's get into stick style because there is some news.
Yes, there is.
So as you well know, we do stick style on Twitch, and we have a YouTube channel as well. Twitch was the place to go for so many years for gamers to broadcast their streams, and then the video got popular where you put your video on there as well, and then that's morphed into a bunch of things. We've talked on the show before. My wife and I get a kick out of it about the people that are like, I'm a streamer, I'm a content creator, I'm an influencer. You know, just like that lady I talked about last week that she's sitting on a stream twirling her hair in her low-cut cami, talking about how, I don't understand. If you got hurt at the TwitchCon event, just because you signed a waiver doesn't mean that you shouldn't be held responsible. Yeah, it fucking does, you moron. That's kind of what a waiver is.
Go get this thing. It's about yay big. It opens up. The front of it says probably Webster, maybe Merriam, and you'll flip towards the back and find the word waiver, and then read what it says about it, and maybe that'll help for you.
Right. She's going to get done reading it.
Oh my God, that is amazing!
So there's a lot of Twitch streamers and YouTubers, and they go between or one or the other that are famous. You got Shroud, you got Dr. Disrespect, you got XQC, you have Summit, you have Tim the Tatman, you have all these people. People don't realize, the average person doesn't realize how much bank these people are making. Yeah. They are literally making millions a year.
Yeah,
one of the top tier.
Yeah,
so one of the top tier females is like Pokimane and Amouranth. Now, Amouranth is what we're going to talk about this week. So this is a 5'2" beautiful redhead woman. She's young. She's just barely breaking into 30s. She's an influencer, streamer, personality on the interwebs. Her real name is Caitlin Siragusa. I think that's how you pronounce it. And she recently came out and said, I'm basically living in a fancy prison. And when I stepped back, at first I was like, oh, really? Really? You're living in a prison? You know, you're making huge money with all your endeavors. Huge. But she's claiming that her husband controls everything. Now, we have a picture on the video of her, and she is a pretty girl. And right now I have the picture up of her streaming ASMR, which is the soft sounds. So, again, one of the many things she does is she'll sit there and be like, and I don't know, people get off on that or they like watching that. I don't know. But she is being the Twitch darling for ages. So much so that when they finally suspended her account from getting paid, she didn't care because she's making so much side hustle money. It's not even funny. She's been involved in so many things. Now, she's claiming that her husband's forced her into these things. And she, again, being smart. We tell you on the show all the time, it's a person and personality. Chris Phoenix is not my real name. Fremo Z is not his real name. We are portraying something.
One day when I find the right judge.
We can't I admire her hustle and all of their hustles, because what you don't realize is that a lot of these streamers and influencers, to get popular and to do what they're supposed to do, they're literally on the air 8 hours a day, minimum, 8 hours a day. And what Amouranth has done is she has literally jumped on every single thing. Now, you have to admire her hustle. So when the hot tubs thing came out, because she was one of the forefront people wearing low cut shirts, and you always get these people. We talked about it a couple of shows back about a girl that was on Twitch that was getting railed from behind, having sex on the air. You couldn't see the person, you couldn't see the sex happening, but her body was moving forward and back, and she was moaning and stuff. And that got her suspended for like a month, I think. And in the meantime, she grew 3 times as many followers. She might never do that again, but 3 times as many followers. So there's this one genre of the people that hustle, the people that play the games, the people that are consistently there, that listen to their viewers. We try to do the best we can with stick style, but we try to put content out there. Then you have the other people on the other side that are basically abusing the situation. They're preying on the fact that Twitch's standard people that view Twitch are, not necessarily minors, but like 18 to 25,
younger demographic.
Younger demographic, and they're going to throw you the credit card number or their parents' credit card number if you say that. Now, she's portrayed the fact that she's been single, so of course you can pay extra money to have that extra subscription to go talk to her privately. Schedule out a half an hour or an hour of time for a paid thing and just talk to her. And some people think, and this is a fact, whether you like it or not, some people think, well, if I get a chance to talk to her, maybe I can date her.
Yeah.
Or maybe I can get some nudes. There's all sorts of these weird things that they want to have.
Maybe we can meet in the meta.
Right. So like when the hot tub thing came out, because she was one of at the forefront they were claiming about the nudity and the sexual innuendos and things like that. So she turned around, and when the hot tub section started on Twitch, she jumped right in. And what she did was she bought a pool, put it in the basement, and got a banana inner tube, and basically sat there because it was legal. You could be in the hot tub stream, or you could be in a beach stream and be a guy wearing just shorts, or you could be a girl wearing a bikini because it was acceptable at that point. So what she did was she jumped on that bandwagon and jumped right into the hot tub section and made a huge amount of money there. She saw it as an opportunity. That's why I admire her hustle. Same thing with ASMR. Who wants to sit on a mic all day making chewing sounds or kissy sounds or licking your lips? That's fucking not content, but there's a market for it. And that market is there. And she's shown on her website her argument with her husband. She's basically saying that her husband has pushed her into these situations. Again, you and I have been through divorces. They're never pretty. It turns out that she is married. It turns out that she's been married for a while, and her husband is basically the guy that does a lot of the content and things like that, and has pushed her in certain directions. Okay.
It seems to be very controlling.
Correct. And she posted, it's been since taken down, but of course, once things are on the internet, it's there forever. So she's posted like pictures of the conversations and stuff, and how he's threatened to take all of her money and the business and everything. Again, Freeman, I will tell you first and foremost that when you're going through a divorce, if that is indeed the fact of what's going through, and it seems that that's what it is, the divorce itself is a split, and any judge is going to say that. So you have certain things that you have to declare, and might get taken away from you. You might lose your house. We both know people that went through a divorce and lost their house that they paid for, worked for, and then got married and then lost the house after they got divorced. So it's divorces are not pretty. Not. And you know why they're so expensive, Free?
Because they're worth it.
Yeah, damn right. Oh, that's going to get us some hate mail.
Now, on the flip side, there are divorces that aren't full-blown War of the Roses.
No, there is some that are completely...
I can attest that on mine. I didn't even have to go to court. It was that amicable. It still wasn't fun.
No,
but I mean,
yeah, you're going to get this. I'm going to get this. You're going to get this. I'm going to get this. Let's just get to the court and get it done. But again, like I said before, and I've said a couple of times now, I'm impressed with her hustle. So she has her Twitch channel. She doesn't get she's got subscriptions, but she doesn't even care about that money. She has an OnlyFans. Chew on that for a minute, people. She has an OnlyFans. So all the Twitch people that want to see more of her physically can go to OnlyFans and see more of that. And again, if her husband's involved in this, kudos, because for research purposes, Free, I searched the internet to see if there was anything, because a lot of times if you do an OnlyFans or you do a nip slip or there's something like that, like we said before, once it's on the internet, it's there forever. And there's really nothing. Her husband and her have done a phenomenal job. You and I know how hard that shit is. They've done a phenomenal job of censoring all the stuff. You really have to pay for what you want to see of her, which is brilliant. I love this hustle. She's got a Discord. She's got a YouTube channel. She even invested in multiple 7-Elevens. She is literally what an influencer, I should say influencer, because she doesn't push any products, but she is the epitome.
She's a for lack of a better term, a technology entrepreneur.
Exactly.
She's not making products. She's not making products. She's not pushing new ideas, but she's certainly, and I'm not using this in a negative connotation, but she's certainly exploiting the advantages around technology at this time.
Why not?
Yeah.
Again, even if I can remember their name, I don't want to say their name because I don't want to get any bad publicity. I don't believe in that. But there is a female DJ that comes on, and from working in radio and stuff, she is a good DJ. Like, there's a lot of people that you sit there and they're like bobbing their head and they're turning knobs. And I can tell you for a fact, they're not doing shit. That MacBook in front of them is mixing all the stuff, getting the timings right, slowing down and speeding up shit. They're not doing anything except maybe adjusting treble and bass and making it look like they're doing something. They're not doing shit.
They're performing.
And this female DJ that go ahead.
I was gonna say they're performing in the least minimalistic definition of the word.
Right.
They
have a great camera. They have a great mic. Their studio looks phenomenal and all colored out and stuff. And they'll broadcast for 4 hours making beats and stuff. They're not doing anything. They picked a playlist in their Mac using Ableton or something like that, and they made the list, and they're just picking song after song. It adjusts the curve so it meets, and then it'll move it slowly back up to the curve to what the proper speed is, so that you don't even see it. They're adjusting shit. But there is those real ones out there. So this female DJ that I found does that. But it's, to me, and again, I don't know if it's true because, again, equipment gets hot. But to me, a guy would be wearing a tank top, and that's okay. But a girl wearing a tank top automatically gets like 50 million more views.
Yeah. Because
they're a female with boobs wearing a tank top. Now, whether it's done consciously or not by that person, I don't want to speculate. I don't fucking know. But facts are facts. That's the way it's happening. Yeah. So when you see Amouranth that's doing this, and again, she has it all covered, Free. Her streams, she's wearing a low-cut shirt, looking pretty, got her makeup all on point. She got her hair on point. She's showing a full body. Not a full body, but a large portion of her body. She's a good-looking woman. She works out, so that's going for her. But then she does ASMR. I'm confident that she's not sitting there going, I think I'm going to wake up today and make some chewing sounds. No. But if somebody wants to pay me to do shit, if somebody wants to pay us to do chewing sounds back and forth, you're fucking damn right I'm going to call you up and be like, Fremo, call out of work today. We're doing chewing sounds on the air. Some guy's going to pay us $500. You're fucking right we're going to do it. There is not a doubt in my mind.
Yep.
It's just the way life works. Now, I'm not saying you need to compromise your morals. I'm not saying that in any way. If you don't feel comfortable doing something, then don't do something. I've seen people on Twitch go from shaking, every time they get 50 subscribers, they'll shake their boobs and shake their butt in a dance behind there. You know damn well what the fuck you're doing. Don't play off like you don't. Yeah. You don't. There's guys that are showing their workout videos, but they're not wearing a shirt. You're fucking built like a brick shithouse, dude. Have at it. If girls want to pay you money to watch you work out, get your money. Get your money.
Yeah. They want to watch. You want me to start a fans only or whatever it's called? Hit me up.
Nobody's paying for that.
You want to watch my shower routine? Have at it.
Nobody's paying for that either, buddy.
Yeah, I know. Although someone did tell me recently, they stopped and they're like, "You're not Liam Neeson, are you?" I'm like, "No." And then I broke into that line from Taken. I was like, "I don't have any money. What I do have."
People mistake me for Stone Cold Steve Austin all the time.
Huh?
Fuck you. So the one thing I did find in researching this whole situation was that it's very difficult to find out how much all these people make. Like, very difficult. Twitch reports their payouts in some ways. So you know that people like Shroud at the time, Dr. Disrespect, these people are making millions a year. Millions a year. You'll see other streamers and gaming pros that all get a huge mansion in California, and they sit there and they grind it out. Well, again, if I was a coach for them too, you're damn right I want you all in the same room. Yeah, you're damn right you're spending all day on this map, because it's very similar to when you and I were racing and we were nationally ranked, and there was no, like, every weeknight, whether we were together hanging out, what?
Some of us were internationally ranked, but yeah.
Oh, what the fuck ever. I was on that board too, top 500. I was there. Maybe not as high as you guys, but I was there. Anyway, so, we knew that if Saturday was a race on Laguna Seca, all week long, we're all racing Laguna Seca.
Grinding that, yeah.
To get the best possible speed. So these people that are doing this, I want you at a house. Yeah, I don't care if you're making millions, but I want you at the house, and I want you constantly working, making content. I don't care if it's ASMR. I don't care if it's hot tub. I don't care. You're making money. And I feel bad for her, because whether it's her and her husband or her by herself, and I think it's a combination of the two, I think they're just good at hustling. And whatever happened between them happened. That shit happens. But there's a big discrepancy as to how much money these people are making. Really bad. So there's an estimate, which I find kind of hard to believe, that there's an estimate that she's making $1 million a month.
I mean, that's not outside the realm of possibility. You got a $15 a monthly subscription to your fans only, or whatever it's called. I mean, what's the rate on that?
I think it's I don't know. I think there's, like everything else, I think there's 3 tiers. I know Twitch's tier is like 5, 10, and I think 15 or 20 a month.
Let's go with 10.
Yep.
Okay. So to make $1 million at $10 a pop, that's 100,000 people.
Oh, she's easily got that on any platform.
So
yeah. So it's not out of the realm of possibility.
If you've got a $10 a month subscription, 100,000 people, there's your $1 million.
Oh, easily. So, and she's got multiple tiers. I mean, she's got not tiers, but multiple.
Millions of followers on some platforms. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if she's making multiple millions a month.
Right. And it's not all hers. So there is percentages that are being taken, but it's good percentages. You got Twitch taking their percentage, but she's still on Twitch and has all those followers. YouTube, OnlyFans, Discord. Discord doesn't really pay anything. But the OnlyFans and Twitch alone, that's easily your living. Easily. Now, me personally, I like our shows to get to where they need to be, and being in this new studio, things are finally going to happen for us, where I'm going to pull a lot of these triggers. But I'm not going to quit my day job. I'm not going to neglect my family, and I'm sure as hell not going to be. I know some of these people. I've talked to some of these people that have come into my work, where they're not necessarily making a living, but they're close to making a meager living. But they are on the air 6 hours a day. 6 hours a day.
I would get on the air 6 hours a day, but I would have to have the level of income that replaces what I have now, and then some to do it.
Exactly, and that's a long way away. And
I mean, if we get there, we get there. If we don't, whatever.
Right. But these people like Shroud, XTC, Tim the Tap Man, their yearly salaries are coming in at like $5 to $7 million. Summit alone is pulling down $5 million a month or more from endorsements and things like that.
Pretty sure if I showed the wife those numbers, she'd tell me to quit my job and I would be allowed to be on Xbox 24/7.
Yeah, but it's not
to make it happen.
And this is what I explain to people that come to my counter and my own kids. Like, I have 2 kids out of the 5 that are fucking stupid good at gaming, certain games especially. They're like stupid good, and I will never admit it to them, but I'll admit it to other people. They're stupid good. Are they at the level?
They're not going to watch your show, so they still aren't going to hear it from you. So.
Right. Are they at the level of a pro? Maybe, because a pro is a whole nother level. But they're still going to school and they still have a job, and you're not spending that much time. This is natural talent, and they're beating like everybody they come across. But it's still not a substitute for having a living. But when you're summit and you're pulling down $5 million a month on not only Twitch, but you're also doing that. And there's people I've talked to that are at my counter. They're like, it's become my life, where not only am I broadcasting all day long with 1 or 2 days off, maybe, but even on those 1 or 2 day off, you're still hitting social media. You're still going to the supermarket, maybe taking a selfie or a quick video on something you found funny. You're making that money. And I feel bad for her, divorce or not, that she has hustled. And I've watched her when I stepped back and I looked at all the different things that she's done. Man, that's a great hustle right there. That's an entrepreneur, period, end of story. She's using what she's got, her looks, to segue into other realms. Now, I don't know what she does on her OnlyFans. I really don't. I'm assuming that there's some nudity, but for the most part, it's just scantily clad stuff and positions. That's the best I can say from my investigation. But at the same time, she's invested in legitimate companies like 7-Elevens. She's putting in the time on Twitch, whether it's ASMR or in the pool or whatever. You're putting in the time. Now, if she's saying that she's a prisoner, I don't know. I have to see more proof, because a lot of these streamers are doing this. A lot of these streamers are doing this because they want to. Nobody's being forced to. Now, I can see how money, a lot of people leave because the money's so good. Like, I think Pokemon's taking some time off. Again, this is a person that has made herself a name, but it gets too much. You and I have talked about it before on the show. We've always recommended that those of us that are geeks and Gen Xers, you need to get off the grid. You need to take a break at some point during the year, zero out your email, get off the grid, only have your phone for emergencies, go out to the woods, sit on your couch, play a game without going online. There's 100 different things you can do, but you need to do that every once in a while. I do it at my job all the time. I should say all the time, but there's certain points where I can feel my escalation, and I'm like, okay, I need to take a day off, an extra day off, wrap around a weekend or whatever, and just not think about technology, not think about work. You have to do that.
Take care of the person.
Right. And if you're the commodity, because that's what she's doing, she's essentially selling herself. And I don't mean that in a whore way. I mean that you're the product.
No.
Wrestlers do that all the time.
Here's the other thing that a lot of these people don't realize is that when you've put yourself out there in that capacity, you don't have privacy out in the world anymore.
No.
So it's even more important to find that way, that space where you can get away and you're not being harassed while you're getting a cup of coffee at the local Dunkin'. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
when I worked in radio, I had the ability to have my 15 minutes of fame, and it was literally 15 minutes. But even that, I didn't like. I didn't like being asked a question while I was at the urinal, and I sure as hell didn't like when I was having lunch to be interrupted for an autograph or anything else. And I get that. Oh, well, you should be happy. Right, it happened once. Like, again, I said 15 minutes. It's nothing major at all. But just the invasion of my personal space, I didn't like at all.
Well, that's something a lot of these people don't realize is they are trading to some degree, whether it's right or wrong. It's implicit in what you're doing. You're trading your right to privacy while in public.
Yeah, and from what I've read in my investigation,
anonymity is gone.
In my investigation during this, I found that the only time she really goes out, she's literally disguised. Like she dresses down, and a lot of times her freedom is when she goes to a Comic-Con and is able to dress up as another character, because you can't really tell it's her. That's how she cut her teeth. How she got into it was cosplay, and she does do phenomenal cosplay. She really does. She nails it every time that she does it. And her streaming connections with fans is going to be challenged during this drastically if she's getting a divorce. It could become that some of her money that she's making is going to become part of a payment that she will make to her ex-husband. That's unfortunately what it is. It's tough, kind of like watching G4 fail again.
Yeah, they decided to take some time off, get off the grid permanently.
Yeah, permanently. So I have a personal investment problem with this issue, Free. I do.
Yeah.
So a story about Chris Phoenix. Many, many moons ago, I was flipping the channels when I lived with my ex-wife. I was flipping the channels and I came across Tech TV. Do you remember it?
Oh,
Vaguely?
the good old days.
Oh, okay, good. So Tech TV was literally shows about technology, and it was geeky. It was super geeky. If you have a chance, hit YouTube and search Tech TV. Yes, laugh because it's old. Ha, 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 ha. But you learned about shit. Like, I watched that thing religiously. I recorded that stuff, and I learned a lot from Leo
A lot
Laporte,
of good info back on
Kevin
TV.
Pereira. Yeah, a lot of stuff. Kevin Rose, who's still famous. Leo Laporte, who runs a podcast network that everybody bases their networks on. Everybody bases their shit on that. It's really, really good. And you learned a lot. And then they changed over to G4. And it kind of went downhill a little bit. They fired a lot of the older people. But you still had people like Kevin Pereira doing Attack of the Show, who was really funny. At the time, Olivia Munn was co-hosting with them. Olivia Munn is now an actress, a famous actress. She played Psylocke in X-Men, and nailed that. Remember that? She fucking nailed it.
Yes, she did.
You have Adam Sessler, who is known throughout the gaming industry to be a great reviewer. And that's a big thing. Being a good reviewer is a big, big thing when you're an honest reviewer. Those two came back. So they did this round table when they were announcing G4 was coming back. They did this round table and had all the classic people, the majority of them. Leo Laporte, of course, wasn't there. Kevin Rose, of course, wasn't there. They are literally too big at this point. But Olivia Munn showed up just for the round table. She made it obviously clear that she wasn't going to be able to do any of the shows. But a lot of the regulars were there. And within a couple of months, most of the regulars were gone, except for Adam Sessler and Kevin Pereira. And now Comcast is shutting it down again. And I don't understand what their fucking disconnect is with this, Freemo. How is this not? And again, this is when I say that Gen Xers aren't running the show there. They're not. Because
that's the thing. That what they reported was that the talent they were bringing in was costing too much.
Right. Again, it goes back to what we've said before about the snowflakes and the millennials that just think that they're worth way more than they are.
Yeah.
Instead of getting in there, proving yourself.
They're asking for $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 for a daily, for an appearance on a given day.
Yeah.
And the disconnect is, you got these young stars that are thinking that the level that they're at now, they're always going to be at, and they're not understanding they need to build that long-term image. So they're trying to do the money grab, and then you got the boomers running G4 that don't recognize the value of building this brand back up at this time. So you got people that don't want to spend the money because they don't understand the value of what the streaming industry is doing around technology and gaming. And then you got the people that are wanting these huge payouts up front early on. So it's doomed to die.
It is. And I honestly, Free, I've watched G4. I've recorded it. And I'll talk about that in a second, what I liked. I don't know if you've caught it recently. Have you jumped on at all?
No. Okay. I honestly since they've come back, no, I've not caught any of these.
Okay, so I'll refresh you on it in a minute. But first, I need to say that I think it's a good call this time around. I don't really know who their target audience was this time. I'm not really sure. I just don't know. I think they wanted to hang on to Gen Xers from the original Tech TV, but they did it all the wrong way. Back then, they had variety shows with substance. And right now, it seems like they're just kind of throwing shit against the wall on the air and seeing, like, back then they had computer troubleshooting shows. That was their mainstay, and that worked. Call for help, whether it was Leo or Chris Pirelli. Was it Pirelli? Anyway, you had call for help. You could literally call in or email with a fucking problem on your computer, and you might get hurt, or you might be watching it. And that was the best part of Tech TV, is that you could be watching it and just come across a problem that you had before or now or in the future, and there's an answer. There's somebody that's going through it. They had computer building shows. That's where I learned how to build a computer and not be afraid of it or intimidated by it. And at late night, you would see, like, once they kind of, like, most channels would have gone off the air, but what they did was they showed, like, classic anime, or they would show some Japanese show. Like, my personal favorite of all time late at night was Silent Library. Yeah. Which the U.S. tried to do, as they always try to do, and didn't do it justice at all. Imagine 4 or 5 people sitting at a table in a real library. Real or fake, irrelevant. But you have to keep quiet, like library quiet. And you have to torture each other while doing it. And at first it started off with like a giant rubber band on your wrist. And one person would hold your arm, and the other person would pull it way back and then snap it. And you couldn't make a noise, or else you got thrown out. And it was the last man standing type thing. Fucking phenomenal show. Go watch Silent Library. It's hilarious. Everything from smells to, like, just all sorts of things. But then they changed it to G4. And when they did that, they wanted to make it different, and they searched for a different age demographic. Again, it was fine. They did more gaming shows and more variety shows. But at the same time, you had Attack of the Show, which was a variety show. Kevin Pereira, Olivia Munn hosted it, and it had structure. It made sense.
Yeah.
Now it's like geared towards snowflakes and millennials, and it's not working. I'm guessing because the shows are longer than 3 to 10 minutes.
I was going to say, if any bit or segment was more than 30 seconds, they're losing.
Right. You could literally see on Attack of the Show, me personally, I could literally see Kevin Pereira's frustration on Attack of the Show. Because it didn't have that snap. It didn't have that organization. It didn't have that structure. It didn't have any of that. It was like willy-nilly. And it was never, I mean, I understand that you can't script everything, but you have to have parameters. For instance, if you're a pro wrestling fan, pro wrestling now sucks. Everything is absolutely scripted, 100%. You'll never see anybody on TV that doesn't have every single word written for them. And they're not mostly they're not allowed to go off script. In the 90s, when we came up with The Rock, Stone Cold, Undertaker, you had bullet points. Hey, when you go out there, can you hit this point, this pay-per-view, this thing about that guy, this event that you were going to have, and the match you're going to have? And they were told to go off, and whether you made it or not, Rock, Stone Cold.
And that's where you got all the great tension from, because you'd have a couple of guys that decided, hey, we're going to be at odds, and they were given the freedom to display that hostility the way they wanted to, you know.
And it was a friendly thing too.
Even the matches, they may be predetermined on how they want something. And, you know, we make sure you throw him off the side of the ring onto this table. Yeah. Some key points, but as far as the match goes, they had some leeway, some fluidity that they could put in there.
Correct.
If something was working and the crowd was building, you might run with something for a little while.
Right.
And then reverse it and get back on script. But, you know, they were given that leeway to get the crowd, you know, really into it and run with it if it was working. Now, you're absolutely right. You can tell it's, okay, we spent 15 hours this week rehearsing this match from start to finish. You do this, you do.
Yep.
Then this happens, and then da-da-da-da-da. And there's no soul to it anymore. You can tell.
There isn't. Every script in pro wrestling is written out now, and they're starting to get, with Triple H taking over Paul Levesque, they're starting to get a little bit freer with it, which is nice. But what Fremo's discussing for people, again, I'm such a me and the wife are such huge pro wrestling fans because we love the sport of it and the idea of it. So what Fremo's alluding to, and to expound upon what he's saying, is that right now everything's written, and like Fremo said, they're practicing everything in the ring. Back in the day, what they would do is that one of those two wrestlers would call it in the ring. Like Fremo said, they're listening to what the crowd's doing, and they're working off of that. You had high spots. Like they'd be like, okay, we're going to do 4 high spots during this match. One of them is going to be off the top rope. I'm going to jump onto the table. That's a high spot. Outside of that, everything else was kind of called out. Nowadays, everything's written. In TV shows and G4 and Tech TV, it was very similar to that. To give you some insight into this show, Freemo and I talk at will, but I have bullet points that I look at. You pre-read the show. We know what we're going to talk about prior to coming into the show. We don't script shit, but we still do it in a certain way. And G4 TV this time around just didn't get it. There was some good though, Free. There was some good. Like if you didn't know what Dungeons and Dragons was growing up, you can actually watch the Dungeons and Dragons show. I can't remember the name of it. And you can see what it's like to play it in a small group. They did it in a very big way, which I was okay with in some ways. The tabletop gaming stuff that they did was, I think, better because it was just 6 or 7 people at a table.
Yeah.
But the Dungeons and Dragons
have you seen how much they charge for that stuff now?
No.
The D&D stuff? Oh my god.
Really?
Look it up. It is unreal how much money they charge for like different books and like a set of dice and stuff now. It is
We were walking
unreal.
into the mall hoping they had something for like $5.
No, used to you could pick up the little maybe 20, 30 page, adventure.
Yeah.
Of some kind, and even those now are like expensive as hell.
That's some bullshit. They did this.
But
There was some
back to the wrestling thing to prove my point. You remember when Sting and he was basically given the license to just interject himself.
Yep.
For about 2 years, it just they'd be in the middle of a match, and then all of a sudden he'd be sitting up in the rafters, and they put a spotlight on him, and you could tell that the other wrestlers didn't know that he had the show that night, but everybody knew that if he did, he went with it.
Right.
It's just, and he comes out. He comes down with his bat, and he interrupts, and he does whatever, and then.
And I understand he has to protect the business. I get that you have to protect the business with finishes, how the match is going to end, which is what a finish is. But you should be able to watch a match and know who the babyface is and who the heel is. Yeah. And that's that in WWE. That line has been blurred, and hopefully under Triple H. Under Paul's leadership, it's going to be changed, which is nice. AEW is doing that now, where it's very much not scripted. It's very much bullet points. It's back to the old school way. And you're seeing like a resurgence of Chris Jericho leading the pack, John Moxley leading the pack, because these are veteran wrestlers. Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, they survived and made a living on independence, kind of like what our streamers and all the streamers we were talking about earlier are doing. They're hustling. They're doing what they need to do. Will Ospreay is a great example of a wrestler that made it without making it. That guy makes a living. He's talked about it before. He's like, I can travel the fucking world with my bank account. I can get a Uber. I can get a Airbnb. I can get a hotel room. I can travel all around the world. I walk into a place at this point, and I can say, hey, look, I'm coming into your town in 3 weeks. I want to visit the Oktoberfest in Germany. Any wrestling events? And then call them up, and the promoter, and be like, hey, look, I'm going to be in town that week. My price is X amount of dollars. And they'll be like, yeah, we'll be here. Ric Flair used to do this in the 70s, whereas the NWA champion, he would travel around to different local territories. Up here, he'd fight your local, here comes Chris Phoenix. Our local champion. He doesn't have a title right now, but he's going against Ric Flair for the NWA title. And I would come close to beating him. But at the last second, Ric Flair would win.
Ooh.
Yep. And he would win. That was what sold tickets. That was what made him who he was. And they're doing that again. Will Ospreay is an example of today's version of doing that. He's not on TV. He did some AEW stints. He's not on TV. He's traveling the world, living his life. And a lot of these people do the same thing. And having G4 to track back, to have G4 not cater to the people, like it was almost as if they were writing it for themselves. You had a few standouts. There was Viva La Dirt, which is an Australian show, maybe New Zealand, but I think it's Australian, possibly New Zealand. Hilarious sketch comedy, hilarious.
They are brilliant.
Yeah, hilarious.
I can't tell you how many of theirs, especially their
Which one? The in-game or
NPC
in-store?
man?
Yes.
NPC man.
Yeah.
The way they nail that genre is just phenomenal. I don't know how many times I've laughed out loud. And I sent you that one about the in-store.
Yes.
With
Yes,
the
the
Mac
in-store. Yeah. Let me check with the That's
the
a
guy
great
behind
thing.
him starts making the noises and then turns around, and then the guy he was talking to starts doing it.
Yeah. It's
making fun of him
great
because
stuff.
he wanted to get his
Another standout is Scott the Woz. It's again a single person, but I think his editing and his production is phenomenal and is funny and he's got a great personality. You got to see classics like Unbeatable Benzuki, a show that takes like skateboarders and it puts them through obstacle courses, which is entertaining. Again, that's the flavor of what Tech TV was late night. The problem was you're playing this at 4:00 in the afternoon. It's same thing like the Thailand show, Takeshi's Castle. This is the show that Wipeout. Oh, you have
Wipeout was based on? Okay.
Yeah. This is the show that Wipeout was based on. This is the show you might remember it from watching people trying to run through doors that weren't doors. Some of them weren't doors, and they would get like knocked the fuck out. You had the pond that had all the little steps on it, and they had to run across it.
And some of them would give, and some of them wouldn't.
Correct. And you also had the giant ball that would run down the runway, and they had to come up and run up.
Okay, I have seen some of it then.
Yeah, the fake boulder. And from 2002 to 2008, there were so many good shows, even the ones late night that were being tested. But again, you had the content during the day that was surviving your channel. That channel got canceled or sold, the Tech TV channel. And Leo Laporte has talked about it in the past. The show got the station got canceled, not canceled, but got sold. And as soon as it got sold, they decided to shoot for a different demographic. Their demographic, he said, their numbers were good for the demographic they were shooting for, which was our generation at the time. They're like, our numbers are good. We have like every geek ever. And that's just going to grow, from other people finding out about it. They had everything from coding to original Ninja Warrior, and now they're gone again. And it's just the only thing, I don't know. The only thing that they had at the beginning from the 2000s were Adam Sessler and on X-Play and Kevin Pereira on Attack of the Show. And you could tell that Kevin Pereira was never happy. Adam Sessler did a lot of this stuff remotely, or called it in, for lack of a better term. Even the few original other members that they brought back only were there for a few episodes. They probably saw the writing on the wall like I did. None of these shows look polished. None of them were well thought out, not at all in any way. And like Fremo and I were talking about before, in wrestling before, you had bullet points and you just ad-libbed everything. That's what made a show special, whether it's wrestling, G4, Tech TV. Tech TV would take a phone call. You can't predict that. Yeah. And they would answer accordingly. It was entertaining and enlightening. Name Your Price is a good example of what a shitty show could be. Two guys have an idea. Let's name the price of something. And then they make jokes and shit like that. And they have ill-fitting outfits. And it was just badly produced. There was nothing entertaining about it. And you can still catch many of the shows that they listed on YouTube, like Tech TV and, Attack of the Show and stuff. If you really want it, especially the early Attack of the Shows with Olivia Munn, they're closing immediately, according to Comcast. Kevin Pereira already left. India Black, who was the other big name from YouTube that they signed, left. The only two marketable people and name-worthy hosts left. Adam Sessler's there, but he's not there. He never has been. It was just strange. They almost made it a full year free.
Almost, about a month shy.
And if I was there, I would have been scrambling all over that building as you well know, when the company closes, I'm going to snag everything I possibly can because nobody gives a shit at that point.
Yeah.
Nobody. I would have grabbed anything from cool props that they had on the back to furniture. Maybe even if like one of the managers had a Herman Miller chair, I would have snagged it. I would have snagged it 100%. 100%.
Yeah, that's what I'd have gone for first is all the new products that they should have been reviewing.
Yep. So Herman Miller had a new chair, and they're partnered with Logitech again. It's their first endeavor. Their first endeavor was called the Embody chair, and it cost $1,500, which is laughable. Influencers, look, a $1,500 chair, whether it's good for gaming or not, or whatever you want to say, is not good for somebody that's peeing in a fucking bottle to stay online streaming.
Yeah.
They don't have that kind of money. They don't have the mentality to save that kind of money. But they claim that now they have a new one free. They have a new one that's more affordable called the Vantum. Vantum. The Vantum. It's very similar to a Respawn chair. I can tell you that right now, either the Secret Lab chair that I'm sitting in right now, which is stiff yet comfortable, it really is, to the Respawn chair that I use when upstairs when I'm doing 6-style, are ridiculously comfortable chairs. They are. This one is more like the 6-style chair. So the 6-style chair is a Respawn chair. It's a good chair. It's a really, really good chair, and it's comfortable. I can spend hours in either one of these chairs. The price. So my Secret Lab chair, my Titan Secret Lab chair that I have here, is $500. Little steep for me on the chair, but I've had a bunch of those $200 chairs, and they all sucked. One way, shape, or form. Either the piston broke, or the arm broke, or it was not comfortable. They all sucked.
Yeah,
this one
didn't last.
Yeah, this Titan one, great. Secret Lab Titan chair is phenomenal at $500. Expensive, but it's still good. The Respawn chair you can get for this Respawn chair that we have is 6-style, which is very similar to this Herman Miller one, is around $300. You can spend many hours in either one of these chairs, and that's what you're going for. And when it comes to chairs, I found that over the years you get what you pay for. You really do.
Absolutely.
I don't have a Herman Miller chair, neither does Fremo. But I'm assuming that if I pay $1,500,
I've seen some. I've sat in some.
have you?
Yeah.
How are they?
The one that I spent a little bit of time sitting in at a lobby, waiting to go back. Because I even asked them about the chair because they were different looking, whatever, and they told me, "Oh, these are Herman Miller." Da 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 da. It was comfortable as all get out. Now, do I want to spend 3 hours sitting in it? Probably not.
Really? So
yeah,
it wasn't
but for sitting,
that comfortable.
Well, I mean, it wasn't a gaming chair like this.
Yeah.
It was a chair designed to sit in a lobby for people to rest in for a few minutes while they're waiting to go back. It wasn't like a boardroom chair or anything.
No. Well, we've said on the show before that even like redesigning the studio or getting your gaming set up or whatever it is, the chair and the desk are the two most important things. Everything else you can upgrade. My computer's like 3 years old, and by standards, it's out of date. My monitors, I should have 32-inch monitors everywhere at 4K. No, I don't. I have 1080 screens, and I like them. So the desk, though, my OpSeat desk, OpSeat's out of business. This desk is fucking unreal as a 6-foot desk. This chair that I spent $500 on, I'll never buy another company's chair ever. This is a great chair. The Respawn chair upstairs, I would recommend that to everybody that wants to do a short money chair. It's just great. But spending $1,000 on this new chair, it's like $200 less than the big chair from last year.
Yeah.
$1,000. It doesn't matter how good it feels.
If it doesn't improve your game, I mean, I don't know. Personally, I wouldn't. Even if I had the money to burn, I wouldn't spend $1,000 on a chair.
Yeah, I don't think I could either.
I mean, unless it actually takes over and improves your gaming for.
No, it's not. And we've talked several weeks about I mean,
does it have the haptic feedback? What's going on with it? Why is it?
Nope. It's just a fiberglass frame with the mesh seating. And
No speakers in the headrest. No,
nothing. Nope. Nothing.
Yeah. Well, you're paying for the Herman Miller name on top of the
100%. And
Logitech
Logitech's
brand.
laughing. Logitech is laughing all the way to the bank.
Yeah.
All right. Before we get into the rest, we're going to take a quick break because I have to go to the bathroom again.
Oh. We're gonna. And
Look,
the official title of it for right now, and this is just temporary until this thing we get the legs underneath this segment. But right now, it's going to be called Phoenix's Tiny Bladder Time.
I heard that, so I did have the headphones on, and they did cut in and out on the way to the bathroom. But I will say that look, we're not young spring chickens anymore. Okay, I'm on some medication that they switched over recently at my physical. And it's making me go to the bathroom a little bit more often than I want to. But the fact that you suggested that I possibly wear a diaper.
No, I said that's the obvious go-to for the segment would be having him wear Depends. But we're gonna venture further afield. We're gonna get you to do some product testing. Like a external catheter and bladder system.
Oh no, we're not doing the catheter. But
no,
maybe
not internal, external. Like a wrap, like a good tight seal, a good Jimmy hat with a tube connected.
No,
you can take care of that without having to leave me alone because when you can happen.
I know it's not good. It's really not good. So all right, so let's get back into.
Hold on, let me end my segment. And that's all we had this week, folks, for Phoenix's Tiny Bladder Time. That is
kind of funny. Like, that could be a segment. Like, Phoenix, like, if I have to go to the bathroom, you get a few minutes of just fucking launching. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to start building a little, a little file on things that I get to just rant and go off about.
Do it. I'll be more than happy to do it because then I don't have to feel guilty when I have to go to the bathroom.
No. I mean, like I said, now that this is turned into a thing, I'm going to have to find a way. I'm going to need to be better prepared for that airtime. So
it's another segment. So we're doing this. This is going to be a thing.
Yes, after 15 years, I get my own segment, unfiltered, unedited. Can't turn me off.
That scares me.
Oh, it should. You better get your bladder fixed. Either that or increase our legal department funds.
I'm gonna have to tell the doctor to be like, "Look, doc, I can't be on these fucking pills anymore." Okay, why is it? Is it causing you a side effect or something? No, it's just my co-host.
Yeah, legal fees. This medicine is costing me so much in legal fees. What do you mean?
Sued
Let me explain.
By like 3 different parent organizations right now.
Every week, this guy causes me a headache during his segment.
So we talked for several weeks about the boom of the handhelds, and I don't know if we've discussed. Like I said, that I think the console is going to go away within 5 years. I think there's not going to be any more consoles. I think it's costing all of these companies. Sony and Microsoft. Nintendo is their own company and they make money, but Microsoft and Sony they lose money on the consoles. Everybody needs to understand that first and foremost. They lose fucking money until about 4 years later, and then when they're selling like if you can still buy a PlayStation 4, all that money is going to Sony. They're making money off of that if you can find one. But right now, the PlayStation 5 and the Series X and S, they're not making a dime off of.
Yeah, and we even said when we saw the specs on the latest generation of their consoles that these are essentially gaming PCs. And especially now that they're allowing you to have upgrade.
What was that last part? You cut out.
Upgradable components within the console.
Oh yeah, the hard drives.
Now that you can do that, and it's just going to get more and more of that. You're essentially buying a pre-made gaming PC.
And let me speak on that, Fremo. Because on the PlayStation 5, I can go get an M.2 again, I have a choice of like 3 or 4, so I can't just walk into the store. I got to get specific. But I can get 3 or 4 of them, get a good price, plug them in, open up the side, plug it in, and I have extra storage. Yeah, let's talk about the Xbox Series X storage.
You can upgrade it.
Yeah.
You just can't necessarily
Afford it?
Afford it, and
yeah, I can't afford it because a 1 terabyte. Let me just go right to the 2. The 2 is the leader. The 2 is the highest you can get. It's made by Seagate. It's very cool looking. It plugs into the back of the Series X. I will eventually get one because I just simply need the fucking storage with the size of these games now.
You still can't play off of it as storage, though. You still have to move stuff back and forth.
That's wrong. That's wrong. So
did they fix that?
Correct. So the Series X, if you get the 1 terabyte or 2 terabyte Seagate storage, that's the official Xbox expansion, you can play off of those.
If you get their branded, yes, you are correct. You can't just go buy one that will fit and use it for storage. You can do that, but you can't play off of it.
Correct. If you get another storage, like just a Western Digital Black, which we recommend on this show all the time, if you get a Black Series USB, you can absolutely store games on it, but you're going to have to move it to the main hard drive in order to play it, which in Freemo and I's world, and if you're at that level of tech, that's not a huge deal. It's just I got a pre-plan for it, but I'd rather not.
Give yourself 20 minutes before you want to play so you can move some stuff around. You're good.
Yeah, like I pulled out an older Xbox One, and I had Gears of War on it. We were going to play last night. I had Gears of War on it, but I didn't have the multiplayer version.
By the way,
yeah,
I pulled a Phoenix.
Fell asleep.
Yeah, yeah. I woke up today and I saw that text you said about I just got home. It was like a little after. This is sad, folks. It was a little after 9:00. Yeah. And he responds back to me, I was already gone. In my defense, out of the 3 previous nights, not including last night, but the 3 nights prior to us planning on gaming last night, I averaged 3 hours of sleep a night.
Yeah, that sucks. I
just hit the wall.
I just read an article that when you're over 50 and over, 5 hours, which is what you and I are regulated to, 5 hours of sleep is apparently not enough. So I got to kind of rethink that. Anyway, so we were talking about consoles and we were talking about memory on consoles, but really the future's handhelds, because they can be plugged into a dock and you can still have a 4K TV experience on that unit. And with everything going to cloud gaming, it's really it's the time for the handhelds. If you want to invest in something, maybe I should rethink this. We're not investment bankers. We don't want you to take our word for it. Do your research.
Do not take anything we say as educational, legitimate, trustworthy information. This show is purely for entertainment purposes only. Continue.
Yeah. So
see, I'm a team player. I just tried to help us out with the legal fees.
I appreciate that, Freemo. Thank you. But the handheld market is a on fire market. The Nintendo Switch no doubt launched this, but everybody is jumping into the space, and for good reason. I think Nintendo started it, and they have a great platform, no doubt. They have a great platform. They've launched it. They've pretty much set the standard for it. But I think Steam Deck has taken advantage of it. What? You're making a face. What? What?
Do you remember?
No.
It's probably been at least 10 years.
Yeah.
Somebody made a prediction on our show. A technology prediction. His name was Special.
Oh my God. Yes, Ed Special.
And we were first kicking around talking about tablets or something, and he said, "Yeah, eventually, what you're going to have is a handheld unit that you just dock onto your main unit, so that you can continue doing your game on a bigger screen."
He did.
He totally called this.
Holy shit!
Don't call him Ed Special for nothing.
Yeah, he's an idiot savant, 100%. So I think Nintendo created this genre. I think I know you're excited about it. Um, Nintendo created this genre, and I think Steam Deck from Steam has perfected it. They really have. I've held that unit. I've played that unit. The screen is gigantic. The screen looks beautiful. Having both the joysticks on a horizontal plane is perfect. Everything about that unit, I feel, is top notch. You can format it and put Linux on it if you want to. You can format it and put Windows on it if you want to. You can actually utilize it and play xCloud gaming. You can utilize it and play PlayStation Now. You can play just about anything. Razer finally came out with one. And I'm not a fan of Razer. I'm not. My wife loves the Razer products. I don't like them. I think that
I don't understand. I don't understand their layout at all.
Okay, so it's a great name. They called it Razor's Edge. I think that's a great name. And it's really kind of free. You can keep doing that, but that's standard, man. Off-centered, off-axis joysticks is normal.
Not to this degree, because you'll have to completely change your grip to go from left thumbstick down to D-pad. You'll have to completely shift your hand.
Right.
And the same thing on the other. I like theirs is. I don't know.
I really don't think it's that bad. The Edge is actually an Android.
I don't know about the rest of y'all, but my thumb doesn't magically decide to extend an extra inch just because I want to hit a button.
No, that's true. But you should be. Yeah, I agree with you. The Edge is actually an Android-powered tablet that happens to come with pre-installed launchers, which I think is a great idea. We've talked about it before. It's got the Epic launcher. It's got the Xbox Cloud Gaming launcher. It's got the NVIDIA GeForce Now launcher. Not to mention of a Steam client or of PlayStation Now. That's the only caveat there. And I can understand why they're not mentioning Steam, because Steam's got their own product. And Sony just is incredibly hard to work with. Incredibly hard. Their PlayStation Now is a great service, but put it on other devices.
Deal with them at all.
Well, the way I feel about it is that PlayStation Now is a great service. Now, I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to provoke me.
You didn't hear what I said, then.
No, I heard you. I'm just ignoring you because you're dumbass.
What I said?
You say if you don't play it at all.
No, I said I don't find it hard not to play with them at all.
Yeah, because you're dick.
Douchebag.
But the PlayStation, I truly feel that Sony's working on something. That's my opinion. Sony's 100% working on something to replace the Vita in this market, because they have the technology already. They have the patents already. So it's absolutely something they can do. But the Razer device is an Android device, essentially. It's a 6.9-inch screen. It's the same as the iPhone Pro Max, really, the size-wise. It's 144 hertz and a 1080 screen. It's got a Snapdragon processor. Now, I've reviewed, in a previous show, I reviewed the Razer Kishi. Yeah, Kishi. Which is an attachment for the phones. It works great free. It really does. Like, you attach it to either side of the phone. It's a solid connection. It's great controls. And you can play your games that you play mobilely on this device. My problem is, at 50 years old, I can't see shit, for that size screen. I mean, I only wear glasses for reading and stuff, but still, if I'm playing a game, I want a big screen. Like, I have a 27-inch in front of me. I play on a 32-inch screen as well upstairs on stick style, and I have my TV, which is bigger than both of those. So I don't know. This unit's going to be only $400, which is a good price point for these. We've seen a bunch of them come out between $300 and $500.
And what we're in the middle of right now with these is, if you go back to the early 80s, when you had, obviously Atari was the winner back then. That's the one that everybody remembers.
Yep.
But you had ColecoVision,
Intellivision.
You had several players getting into this whole market.
Yeah.
In fact, I think Coleco actually was the best seller for a couple years at one point in the early 80s, like 83-ish, 82, 83. But that's what you're seeing right now. So it'll be interesting to see who ends up on the top of the pile
Yeah.
with all these options out there, because there's what, like 6 or 7 now.
Yeah. But the thing that kind
But
of bothers me, Free,
6 or
is
7 viable ones that could rise to the top. You know,
right.
they have
Logitech's got one. Razer's got one. Steam
Yeah.
Deck, Nintendo. Everybody's got something you can do. And again, if you buy an iPhone 14 or a Samsung S22, you have the ability to buy one of these attachments that make it pretty much one of these, which is
Right.
great too, because it's going to have almost the same power. The thing that the only problem I essentially have is, again, they're not sporting Steam and they're not sporting Sony. Understandably so, but still, that's something you kind of want to expect.
So what do you think it'll be, about 5 or 6 years before Microsoft releases their version of a handheld console?
Yeah, 100%. And
And
it's going to suck.
It'll
The
last
first-
about as long as the Windows Phone.
I agreed. So what I predict, we should do a prediction show. What I predict is going to happen in 5 or 6 years. They'll still have consoles, but they won't be as extravagant as they are now. You won't get a Halo console, I don't think, anymore. But you will have these handhelds. And the first couple of handhelds are going to absolutely suck for Microsoft. And then they're going to have to make a big decision, because Xbox is a huge moneymaker for them. So they're going to have to make a decision whether they want to just go PC and then license everything to everybody else that's making handhelds, or correct their handheld. But like Fremo just pointed out, Microsoft's notorious for just killing shit randomly. Buying shit, going, this is a great idea, and then killing shit. Amazon Kin, which, I mean, the list goes on.
The Windows Phone was not bad. They just cut the legs out under it before it had any kind of, momentum.
Right. I think the biggest problem with the Windows Phone was the tiles. I didn't like tiles. I thought the tiles was a bad idea on a phone. I think Apple has nailed it with the little icons and the apps, individual icon that related to apps, because again, Samsung did that. Every other company did that when Apple launched the iPhone.
But it was just a matter of, I mean, and maybe the Windows Phone was nothing more than them testing the tiles concept and getting some feedback on where they wanted to go with Windows 8, 10, 11. Maybe that's all it was, But
I would have to disagree with that, because 8 failed.
I'm trying to be nice to him. I mean,
okay, try to be nice to the Windows 8 server.
Not possible. I'm not even going to try to keep a straight face and utter anything about that.
That was
in a positive
awful.
way.
That was so bad.
But if you look at what they did with tiles back then and where they're at, you can still see where tiles had an impact on their interface.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Absolutely.
So, and with the fact that their console interface is becoming more and more PC looking, and everything else. That was their stated goal. They wanted to have one interface that you ran, whether you were on a phone, a tablet, a PC, a console. They just wanted one interface. They wanted everything to be seamless, moving from one device to the next.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be interesting to see how they handle that with a handheld console.
And while I was talking about gaming, I still stand by the fact that consoles will eventually go away, and you agree with me too. It's
I mean, there early on, there was the big war between consoles and gaming PCs, but but they're, like I said, consoles, and I said this back in the day, gaming PC will never go.
No, it's not.
Away,
and the fact that gaming is never going away is the example of PlayStation Now, Xbox Live Ultimate.
And the fact that your latest generation of consoles are essentially a dumbed down version of a gaming PC that you can, at this time, do very limited upgrading to. But
now those that are bitching,
another 2 or 3 years down the road, the customization, the upgrading that you'll be able to is in effect you're getting a bare bones gaming PC kit for a reasonable amount of money that you can upgrade.
100% get bare bones. And I've had people tell me, literally look at me in the face at work and go, "You don't know what the hell you're talking about. I'm like, dude, I've been in this industry for 30 years. I'm a guy that makes my money on trends. Okay, I see trends. I don't know how I do it, but I do.
And they may never call them PCs. They may always call them a console. But within certainly no more than 5 years, I'm saying within 3, they will be a bare bones PC gaming.
100%.
Gaming kit. That's
people,
all it'll be.
Realize that the Xbox and the PlayStation are AMD processors with AM. They're essentially the same thing that I'm using in my rig right now to produce this show. 100%. They're the same exact thing. Same thing.
Yeah.
So in both consoles, it's not Intel anymore. Intel's got their own fucking issues. We can do a whole show on that. But one of the things in computer gaming that we're talking about, have you seen the new 4090? Have you seen that fucking beast? Yeah, you got nothing.
Beast is a good term, and you can't help but see it because the thing is the size, like legit, the size of a brick.
So let's talk about the obvious. It's massive, people, and Fremo and I mean it's really fucking big. So I have pictures up in the show note, not in the show notes, but essentially in the broadcast that you'll see on YouTube. And what I have listed is, if you look in the bottom of this first picture, is the 3080 Ti. It's a big card. It is. My power color 6800 Red Devil is a big card. It goes right to the fans on the front. And if you know PCs and you've built PCs, or you're looking at your PC that you had built, my card goes all the way to the fans. It doesn't touch the fans because they thought about that shit. The 4090 is not that at all. So normal GPUs take 2 slots. This one takes 3. So if you have only 2 slots and you have a capture card in there, you better think about this shit first.
Yeah.
And it's longer than most. It's 1 inch taller than the 3080. And it's longer than most of the cases can even put in. So if you look at the picture that we put up, the bottom picture is a 3080 Ti. The very top picture is oh shit, what the hell is it? Let me pull it up real quick because I want to make sure I get it right, because it's really hard to tell which one's what. So let me get into this. So the bottom picture is the top picture is the 3090 Founders Edition. And then the bottom picture is the 3080 Ti. The middle picture that you're seeing is the 4090 Founders Edition. Founders Editions are always smaller than all the other cards because it's basically the basics of what every other company puts more coolers on it and more fans on it and everything. This thing is massive. When we look at the width of it alone, when I go over to the width on this unit, like if you look at it side by side, wait, let me get to the picture. There we go. So the width of it is, look at how massive that fucking card is. If you look on the video, it's 1 inch or 2 bigger. It's 3 slots, people. 3 fucking slots big. It's obscene. And then you get into the whole problem of the power. Now the power is where this really, I don't know. I don't get it. NVIDIA says that it needs 450 watts just to run this card. They recommend an 850 watt power supply. Now, I can tell you at work, and I'm sure Fremo doesn't even come close to this number. I tell people that are building gaming PCs that we're going to build for them, 850 power watt. Anything less than 850, you really shouldn't do. Just do an 850. Because it's going to cover you a little bit overhead, but it's going to cover all of the cards that you want in the near future and the processors.
Minimum 850. You might as well step it up, go bigger than that, just so that if you decide to add something else, you ain't got to worry about it.
Right. So again, like we tell you, like Fremo and I tell these people that we deal with about the Microsoft power consumption, where Microsoft says, "Oh, you need 4 gigabytes to RAM to run Windows 11."
Yeah, if you want it to boot and you be able to look at the desktop screen. Beyond that, you need more memory.
Correct. So an 850 power watt power supply for the 4090 is a joke. It really is. when you get a third-party card and then you add other stuff that gamers have in their rig, like an RGB colors, fans and shit, and capture cards and RAM and the CPU that you won't really need, you're going to end up with a 1,000 watt to 1,200 watt power supply.
Yeah.
To have everything run fine. Dude, if you live in an apartment and you hit that power button on your PC, you're going to see the lights dim.
They're going to flicker. Yeah.
It's going to happen.
But if you try to put the machine 50 and do any kind of overclocking anywhere in your system, you're going to have issues.
It's inevitable. It's inevitable. You have to do this, people. And I'm sad to say that even the card comes with an adapter. We have an adapter up on the picture on YouTube. So the first one is essentially a 3080, I believe, Founders Edition. Second one's the 3080 Ti, which has 3 connectors into one. But the 4090 has 4 connectors. It requires a quad 8-pin to 16-pin connection.
I mean, here's what gets me, right? They released this card, and they knew the issues around trying to put this in your computer. They knew it before they sold it, because you already have a third-party manufacturer with a special adapter that accommodates this card.
Yeah, Corsair came out with one.
So
Corsair
they know.
came out with an adapter that had, but the
and they
difference
didn't
is
care. They didn't care. They did not. I mean, somebody dropped the ball. Period. The project manager who was supposed to make sure the specs on this thing fit within certain parameters just didn't care that it wasn't going to fit 99% of the PCs out there. Or
I can tell you what happened.
Somebody else said, "Hey, we're running out of time. Push it out." I can tell you what happened.
What happened was they put it on a test bench, which, for those that aren't as geeky as we are, a test bench is essentially a rack that you just throw shit on to test. We use one at work to test other people's components. Freeman and I would use it. I eventually want to get one in the other side of the studio just to throw shit on and test. It's wide open. It's not a case. It's just a wide open board. So you're not going to have a problem if you put this card on there and then throw the cables on there. You're not going to have a problem. But the real problem is when people put it into their PCs, they're crimping the cable management because you don't want wires showing out. So you have as minimal wire as you can. And what's happening is that this is so powerful that you're crimping these wires and moving them forward to get better cable management and have a clean build. So it's really, and Corsair has solved this problem by creating a proper 90-degree turn in it, which is great. It's great. And that's one of the reasons why I love Corsair. So the 90-degree will help with the cable management, but the benchmarks that you're seeing from the video, I don't know. It looks like they built this card and they only played Cyberpunk 2077 because that's all they keep showing is the Cyberpunk numbers. Now I get it. Cyberpunk's like the Crisis for the new generation. Crisis is still fucking Crisis, people. There's a reason why there's a video limit on the Crisis game that says, "Will it play Crisis?" Because it's literally going to crush your card. It's going to really extend your system. I don't even have the balls to do it on my system because I don't want to break it. But it's designed to do that shit. And the fact that Cyberpunk was also very difficult to render in full frames and full look. I don't even know the word. But it's obvious that they built this card playing this game because it destroys every other video card when you put it on this game. But if you put any other thing on the 4090, it literally does like, oh, that's okay, that's better. And you're like, well, I'm not gonna spend. And right now, the scalpers are charging $2,600, $2,500 for this card. MSRP is like $1,200.
Yeah.
Now,
and in case y'all think we're being a little excessive with how big this card is, I'm going to read you the opening of this article from a professional who does this for a living.
Yeah, that's
as soon as I saw photos of NVIDIA's RTX 4090, I started nervously eyeing my case. This new GPU isn't tiny. It's the opposite of tiny. It's you
Right.
might need a new case, not tiny.
Yeah. You're gonna
That's
need a
this guy's
gigantic
initial
case.
assessment just from eyeballing it. He's already thinking in his head,
So
that
the
ain't
people
gonna fit in there.
So the people that are listening or even watching, look at your case and go, okay, you're going to need an EAXT case, ATX case, to get the size dimensions to look like your previous case because the card is so big. And even then, it's going to look like it's stuffed in there.
Yeah.
The only thing I can say about the 4090 is that the way that technology works in that card, if you play a game like Morrowind, it's going to not look like an old game. It's going to be re-rendered and it's going to look really good.
That's true.
Again, that's like one or two games. Everything else looks close to the previous series. You're going to get just as good with that. Look, and we've said it here on Stick Style, we've said it on BGFG, shit, we said it on 30ish. If you're looking at images side by side of people running in a game that you like, and you have to actually see an image side by side of the two comparisons to see the difference, that's not a difference. That's not something you should be running out and buying.
Yeah,
That should be a later on purchase.
You have to frame catch or two side by side just to be able to see what and you're not going to know in gameplay.
Yeah, that's not going to make it better.
But I will say this. If you are planning on getting into crypto mining, this is the card for you.
Yeah. Yeah. And Fremont and I will both tell you that when a company has a problem when a company has a problem with selling a product, they start throwing out really weird things. If it's something that exposes the card, they will stop it. Crypto mining in the early days of the 30 series was a good example. But now they're like, I've seen a lot of information, a lot of news on how the 4090 can crack passwords in like a day. And I'm like, really? That's your selling point? Because if NVIDIA didn't want to try to push these cards, they would already put the kibosh on those people and those websites and take them down. They're that big, they can do that. But they're not doing that because they need to try to sell these cards, which is really shitty. You know, and again, like I said before, if you have to look and physically look at the difference between the two cards, you don't need that new card. You don't. And the same thing goes with webcams. I'm tired of hearing about all these webcams. I had a conversation with a customer this week as well about webcams and stuff. I'm like, look, the Logitech C920 is a great webcam. It does 1080. What more do you need for your video? Like, I don't get it. I'm using and the reason why I bring this up is because Sony just announced a vlogging camera. Like, I get it. You're a video logger and you're an influencer or whatever the fuck else you are.
But just for future reference, Boomer, it's not vlogging, it's vlogging.
Oh, whatever. Fuck you and your Boomer bullshit, douche.
Douchebag.
The Sony ZV-1F is their newest. It's small. It's a tiny little camera. It almost looks like something you would take on a trip. It has a fold-out screen that's about the same size as the camera itself, which is nice. And it can flip so that you can see what you're looking at. And it's okay. The body's made from recyclable materials. Again, that's good. It does 4K at 30 frames a second, which is no different than pretty much anything else that's out there right now. It does 5K slow-mo, and it has a 20mm lens. Now, what you're looking at watching me here and on Stick Style upstairs is an Elgato face cam. It only supports 1080. The highest it can do is 1080 60 frames, which is what we're doing right now. I feel that's fine. I don't need a 4K. You don't need to see the spots that I missed when I shaved this morning. That's not what you're here for. It's for content. And my Elgato face cam has a 24mm lens. Bad or good? It's a 24mm lens, and it already has Sony's Stratus sensor in it. So how much different is that than the Sony camera that you're going to buy? Because there's a big difference. The Sony camera is $500. The Elgato face cam is $169. Now, I will say this. Well, I will say this in my last statements for this segment is that the Elgato webcam is for your computer. That's it. And it does a very good job, I feel. Very good job. It looks great. And if you have a NVIDIA video card, you can use NVIDIA's overlays like Freemo's doing with the blur in his background. I could do the same thing if I had a NVIDIA card on this rig. Upstairs on the stick style computer, I do. And it'll work.
It's not a blur.
You are blurry.
That's a custom paint job behind me.
Oh, my bad.
It's made to look blurry.
But the Sony camera with the Elgato, the Sony camera with a gimbal handle is great. If you're a vlogger and you're going out all the time and you're recording stuff outside and inside, this is a great camera.
If you feel the need to show us what you do 24/7, this is the camera for you.
Right. If you're a hiker or whatever the fuck you're doing, for $500, it's a good deal because you can use it as a webcam, but you can also use it outside on a gimbal and have great production on it. I don't see it personally because I don't get that. You know, if I'm going out, I can use my camera on my phone. My phone is just as good. People neglect phones so much. Yet the iPhone, there's companies like Belkin and other companies that are making attachments to put on the back of your screen to hold your iPhone and use it. Elgato makes EpicCam, which will allow you to use your phone as a web camera. Just plug it in to power. And it does a great job. It's a great camera. It's a 4K camera on some. But you're going to have this. And if you're all about the streaming life, then by all means, get this and get the gimbal handle for it because it'll pay off in the long runs if that's the thing you're doing. But when you're $700 into it for 4 viewers, I don't know if that's a good idea. I don't know if that's something you want to do. That might not be the best thing. Inside or outside, it's a very good social media camera. It really is for $500. It's a lot less than the DSLR, which you see a lot of people using.
Right.
But if you're inside, I still recommend the C920 Logitech for broadcasting. It's a 1080 camera. It's a go-to camera. It's like a 350 Chevy engine.
Yeah, you ain't breaking it.
Yeah, you ain't breaking it. I have several in this house right now for backups. But for day to day, I use the Elgato webcam.
What is mine? I don't even remember.
Nope. That's your forehead. Nope. That's
I'm just looking for the model number.
I'm seeing everything. Is it a Logitech?
Yeah, it didn't have a model number on it though.
Is it a Logitech?
Oh yeah.
Did I send it to you?
Yeah, I believe this is one you sent.
It's the C920. Yeah, it's the C920.
Hold on. I know where I can find this information. I've done this
I'd be surprised if it isn't. If I sent it to you, it's probably the C920, and it's 1080p, 60 frames, and it's awesome.
No, it is. It is definitely 1080p.
Yeah, they make a great camera. Did you find it yet?
Just trying to.
Do I have to? Do you want me to walk you through Device Manager?
Oh no, I'm just looking at settings in Discord. C922 Pro.
Oh, my bad.
My bad. Pro.
I sent you that explains a lot because I gave one of the kids shit because I have so many 920s hanging around in the house. One of the kids needed a webcam and I gave him one. I'm like, did I give you the upgraded one? They're like, no. It says C920. And I looked at it. I'm like, something's wrong, man.
No, I ended up with the 922 Pro.
Yeah. You get the upgraded one.
It's a good camera. Awesome. It's a great camera.
It is. And it does 1080 at 60 frames. You know, mine is set. So the Elgato face cam can do 1080 60. And that's, I feel it's a sweet spot. When you start running 4K, people, you're going to extend your system. It's a new technology and we're not ready to like really push that yet. So the systems are not ready for that yet. So an Elgato or if you want to go short money, a Logitech C920 is the way to go. It's the way to go. So do you need a $500 Sony, DSLR? Not really, but if you really want to. And I've had people come into my store that were like, I want to start podcasting and streaming, and I want to do what's best. And they walk out of there with the Rode mic and, all sorts of shit they don't fucking need, no matter what I tell them. But that's okay. You watched the streamer on Twitch that gets paid, literally, we proved it on the show, gets paid millions of dollars a year. And yes, that Shure SMB 57 or whatever the fuck it is a great mic. It's a really good mic. Do you need it to start off? No, you fucking don't. Get a normal mic. Get a Wave 3. We endorse it on the show. So that's all I really have for this week, Free.
Well, I don't have anything extra to add. I am going to have to work on
what
Phoenix's tiny bladder time segment.
You should. I'll come up with some sort of song for it. Intro.
Oh no, I'm gonna handle all of that.
Oh, good. Yeah, send me that shit. Yeah. All right. So that's it for this week.
This is gonna be mine. My creative genius is finally 100%. Going to blossom.
I hope so.
And then someone's gonna steal me from Phoenix Media.
Oh, that's not good.
It won't happen. It won't happen.
Good.
I will never leave Phoenix Media. You cannot pay me enough money. No, legit. Couldn't pay me enough money to leave. Somebody could offer me $1 million a month to leave Phoenix Media, and I would not do it.
Are you an asshole? I would. What the fuck is wrong with you? I would. $1 million a month? Fuck you. I would.
What I would do is lease them content for probably a lesser amount. That way we both benefit.
That's a good idea right there.
I'm taking care of you. I'm taking care of you.
I appreciate it.
I'm not just going to abandon you.
I really appreciate that for you.
But we now know live on the air he would drop me in a second. So
no, I really wouldn't. I'd be like, it's a package deal, bro. $1 million a month is great. I want that, but it's a package deal. All right, that's it for this week. 10's down. Show's over.
Whoop, whoop.
So you can find more of this garbage at bgfgonline.com. You can also send us an email with your questions or suggestions at bgfgshow@gmail.com. Find our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Overcast, Podcast, Castro, Castbox, Podchaser, and YouTube. Thank you for listening.